I'm Stan Elson. I see some of my clients here, so it's nice to see you, and people I don't know, welcome. So today we're going to be talking about terrific training techniques, which is really a train the trainer workshop. So unfortunately, I'm starting off with bad news. Studies show that most training dollars are wasted. I think the figure is really as high as 80%, and then in a study done in 2015, when they asked a couple thousand people, what percentage of you thought that your training was interesting and helpful, only 29% said yes, that it was. So the question is, why is training not working? Any thoughts on that?
The person teaching?
Oh yes, it very could be. I won't take that personally, but yes, you could be right. Okay, and?
I've found that sometimes if it's a short-term training and there's no checkpoint afterwards, it's just forgotten.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. No follow-up. Anything else?
Materials are boring.
Yep.
Engaged with the people aren't engaged.
Yes, and in fact, you may know if you're in HR, there's a study that shows only 30% of people are engaged at work. So when they come to training, as someone once said, you're either a vacationer, a prisoner, or a learner, or you're there for free lunch. That probably is all three categories. So hopefully you've got learners. So the solution, and actually part of the other problem, I'm going to skip this and then go back, is that there are a lot of people who really are into training, they love training, and for want of a better word, they're accidental trainers. This is the teller trainer, or rather a former teller in a bank who now becomes the teller trainer. It's someone who is a nurse in a hospital and now teaches patient satisfaction, but they've never been trained. Then there are experienced trainers, again working in banks, hospitals, etc., you name the company, and they've never been trained. So they're doing as best as they can. A lot of times they're doing really well, but there are sort of gaps in what they need to do to be completely effective. And then there are good trainers who want to be even better. Okay? So this class is really train the trainer, and I really go from soup to nuts in terms of what do you need to do to be an effective trainer. One, how do you prepare for your training session? It sometimes becomes problematic when I'm working with one group. If someone's working with one group, they're doing really well, then they're working with another group and they don't think to ask, gee, what is this audience now like? Okay? So the training doesn't fit the way it should. What do the trainees really need to learn? I tend to like to throw everything in, but I really learned my lesson. I designed a program, a day-long program. I knew, and I put in extra, so I knew it was going to take a day and a half. I never got to the last part, and I said, from now on, I'm just going to give people what they really need to know rather than stuff that's nice to know, because everyone is really pressed for time. How do you give direction so people really follow and understand what they're supposed to be doing? Okay. Then I've got, I'd say, way over 100 techniques. We don't go into each one in detail, but I have handouts, and people really, I'm trying to give them a portable package of training skills. So no matter what program they're doing, if they're doing customer service for the first time, if they're doing technical training, they can say, okay, here's how I can make it really good. Here's how I can make the training really effective. People will learn to write case studies and action plans. So when people come to training and they read these, go, wait, yeah, this is what I'm really dealing with on the job, and then they've got to figure out how to deal with it. Okay? Giving positive and corrective feedback, it's not enough for someone to say, hey, you did a really good job with that. What was really good? And also handling difficult workshop participants. Occasionally we see some of those. Okay, so who remembers Mr. Rogers? It's a beautiful? It's a little hot, but yeah, it's pretty nice. And also, won't you be my neighbors? So I'm going to ask you two to be neighbors, you two to be neighbors, you two, and you two. And if you don't like your neighbor, fake it till you make it, because I teach conflict management, and I'll be glad to do that. So what happens is when I do the training, I really want people involved. So this might be one example that we have. There's education, and there's training. What's the difference? As you look at this, talk to your partner, and then I'm going to ask you to explain the difference, someone to explain the difference between training and education in 3 sentences or less. Okay, talk to your partners, they're nice people. So if you wanted to If you went to butcher school, they probably have some knowledge. here's the cut of meat, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're going to be a butcher, you really have to know how to do it to be skill-based. The other thing that I realized this morning too, this always really galled me, in education, it's okay if a certain percentage of people don't get it. So we're going to mark on a curve, and if 25% fail, that's quote okay, unquote. That's not good in training. If I go in or you go in to train and you say to the boss, and they say to you, how was training? And Sherry, you say, it was great. I only failed 24%. That's not a good conversation. That goes back to the wasted training dollars. Okay, so one of the things I really try to do is give people exercises that they can use back at the ranch when they go back to get people really involved. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to ask you, this could be a little interesting in this group, for you four to work together. If you could just sit here for there. Now if you move up for just one, and then, let's see. You two, if you just come over here, Denise, you can go wherever you want.
Got it.
Okay, and I'll give you a couple of minutes. Okay. Okay. You have someone who's a new trainer. You're observing them. What is it that makes the trainer or training terrific? And that's what you're going to brainstorm. Someone take notes. And what is it that makes the trainer not terrific? In other words, what about training makes it really bad or the person not really good?
Validate that the trainee has understood.
Too well. Maybe I'll connect with you. Going through it.
Great. Lively discussion, engaging the students.
Yeah.
Where to start your day.
Are we
We're-
separate? No, we're just doing this.
No, we're just doing negative.
Oh, we're just doing the back.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I don't want to imply you're a negative group, but okay.
No, okay.
Okay.
We get the gist.
Right, okay, there you go.
Monotone, that's the word.
Monotonous.
Right.
No follow-up was like check-in, check-ins or something.
Yeah.
No personal contact, no interaction. I mean, I've seen that too. Can't be like that. You have to get them engaged.
No interaction.
5 minutes? Okay. Okay. Okay, folks, in the interest of time, give us 3 things that make training not terrific.
No interaction or check-in of understanding, being monotonous, and also not knowing the material.
Okay. Terrific.
We said, we had a lot, but knowing the audience, piggybacking off of what they said, blended and interactive, not boring. Someone who clarifies or explains the why of what they're
Good.
explaining.
Good. Okay, great. Give yourselves a round of applause. And what I want to do is just briefly describe some of the exercises that people will be able to do and carry away and then use in their training. I should mention too that terrific training is focused on business results. It's not nice to have, it can be fun, but that's not the main mission. It's what you need to do in your business. It teaches the must-have knowledge and skills. It's interesting, and most importantly, terrific training is interactive. Adult learners, as I'm sure you know, have information, they have skills, they can participate, and we want to provide practice. Because what happens is if people just learn something and don't practice it, they're not going to be able to do it when they come away from it. Okay. Training, not lecture, not an invitation dump. Sometimes people need to lecture, but there's ways to do it to make it even interactive. Starting a workshop. So one of the things that I might do is, let's say a nurse is teaching patient satisfaction. There's a way to create a bingo board. Right in the center is patient satisfaction. You can create different different bingo sheets with hospital terms, patient, admitting, etc. And what happens is you say to people, okay, we're playing bingo, And when you win, stand up and shout, "I win, bingo." And the way you've done it is everyone wins at the same time. So now you have a whole class that you're starting, everyone screaming, "I win, bingo." And you say, you know what? When we go for patient satisfaction, everyone wins. So it's a great way to start the workshop. The other thing is, a lot of times, this is another exercise, people have been worker bees working on a unit or in a department, and now they're the manager or supervisor. And they were very friendly with people in their unit, and maybe still be. So what I do is I take two people up who say, yes, you can be friends with people that you used to work with, no, you can't, and we have a debate, which is much better than saying, here's what I think as the teacher, the advantages of doing this or the disadvantages. Okay. Other exercise when we do management training, trust is a basic kind of element. So there's a way we talk about, one group works with why trust, what promotes trust, and what promotes distrust. And after the people do these exercises, then I ask them, how do you apply it with the actual training that you're doing? So again, they get these portable skills that they can use. Okay. Rutgers has created a Train the Trainer certification, which can be adapted to the amount of training that you want for your folks. One, first day is presenting with pizzazz, which has to do with presentation skills. What do I who do I look at when I present? What do I do with my hands if they wave all around? How do I stand? Should I put my hands like this to pray for a good presentation? Okay. So that's a day-long program. People get videotaped, and then they come back for half an hour each and watch the videotape. And what happens is when we tell people don't come up with a pen, someone comes up and they're clicking the pen and they see it. Or we say, you know, you've got really good salsa moves, and then they come up and they see themselves swaying. After that, they get a day-long terrific training techniques. So they come back with over 100 techniques that they can use when they present. And then, depending on the organization, people will come back and take a piece of the training they actually do and present a half an hour to the group and to myself, etc., and my contact person. And then, if it's feasible, depending on locations, schedules, etc., then I would come back and watch them actually work with the class for half an hour. We've done this in one organization. I've done this a lot, and the presentation skill, the ability to train has really gone up. People are doing much, much better. Okay. Folks, thank you very much for your time. I hope I've made you better trainers. Questions? Wow, how's that for hitting the mark? That I don't teach.